Hey everybody, it's Ron, and I'm going to go a little off the cuff today. I just want to talk about Mark Millar for a second. If you don't know him by name, you definitely know something that he's written or a movie that was based on his work. You have stuff like Kingsman, Kick-Ass, Civil War was his idea. He wrote that at Marvel initially before it was turned into a film. Also, a lot of the stuff in his Ultimates run heavily influenced the Avengers film that came out. So he has had a lot of influence on even the mainstream comic book characters as far as movies go. But I want to talk about a lot of his new stuff because I always liked his writing, and I liked, back in the day, I picked up Kick-Ass and everything. But the new stuff is also amazing. I can't think of anyone right now that's killing it more than Mark Millar in the comic book industry right now. Unless somebody can put it in the comments and introduce me to somebody new. But just as far as mainstream fun comic books, and especially creator-owned comic books, I just don't know who's doing it better than him right now. And the funny thing is, he doesn't even really have to be doing it. He sold a lot of his stuff his whole company to Netflix. And then when he comes up with a new idea, he has a whole art team. I'm seeing that in a lot of these new trades of his stuff. You'll see the artwork for all these ideas he has, and there's a whole art team at Netflix doing that stuff, and then he hires some of the best artists to come in and do the comic book version before it's a TV show or a movie. So he doesn't even have to be doing this, but he really enjoys making comic books. So we're getting all these new creations now. And I wanted to talk about Prodigy in particular. I could talk about any of these. I could talk about the Magic Order or King of Spies. These are some of the ones that I recently just caught up on. Even Space Bandits, which was something that it didn't look like it would appeal to me, but it ended up being a lot of fun. And then quick spoilers, it ends up crossing over with one of his other new books. So it's just really fun. He's even bringing back some of his old stuff, doing kind of like a reboot of Nemesis, and Jupiter's Legacy is still going. That's probably one of my favorites of his. And all of these things are so different. But I wanted to talk about Prodigy because I was reading the first trade, and this isn't that new. I think this came out right when he made that Netflix deal. And it actually just came out. He just came out with a new collection of this for the second volume, and that one's called the Icarus Society that just came out. But yeah, this first one, I remember seeing it back in the day, and I didn't really think much of it solely based on the cover, because the cover is just a guy in a suit with a machine gun and a book, and then in the background there's a bunch of mathematical equations, and it just kind of looked like maybe it was a repeat of Kingsman or something. I didn't really want to read about guys in suits fighting each other, but it's so much more than that, because I think this kind of came around at the perfect time for me in particular. I'm really into the old pulp stuff right now, like Doc Savage. I've done a couple videos on stuff like that, and rewatching stuff like Raiders of the Lost Ark. And this comic book pretty much takes all of that stuff and throws it together in such a fun way. And yeah, so that's really the reason I'm making this video, is just to not only recommend all of his work, but just talk about this one in particular, because when I was reading this first trade called The Evil Earth, I was just having so much fun, and I couldn't remember the last time I felt that way reading something new. I don't even really buy new comics anymore, because a lot of the stuff just doesn't appeal to me anymore. So yeah, like I said, it's a pretty simple concept. This guy, Edison Crane, he's just one of the most brilliant people in the world. He's good at everything. So that's why I kind of relate him to Doc Savage. And I gotta think that Mark Millar is going back to those old things and seeing what worked from the old pulps, because it really feels that way reading these trades. It feels like a self-contained pulp story now instead of an ongoing thing. And he's doing that type of stuff with like the Magic Order, which is kind of like The Sopranos meets Harry Potter. But with this one in particular, it does have that pulp feel to it, even though it's in a modern setting, because he goes on these crazy adventures. It's not just, there's a James Bond type bad guy. And there are things like that too, which is cool. I think he's taken a lot of influence from that. But the first trade even has a lot of sci-fi elements, which I was not expecting. And it's all just so fun. I think Mark Millar is trying to bring that back now with everything going on in the world. People, I think, just want to read something that is fun. It's just pure fun. You know, when you come home from work and you've had a terrible day, reading something like this, like I said, like this first trade, it's great. It's just such a good feeling. It's all of this stuff feels very refreshing to read, even though it's kind of taking cues from stuff that's pretty old. So yeah, like I said, the second volume came out, The Icarus Society, and that one kind of takes it up another level where there are other people with the same sort of intellect that this guy Edison Crane has. So it was kind of fun to see them bounce off each other and go at it. It just also had crazy concepts, like this one villain in the first half of it has like gorilla arms, and that kind of reminded me of maybe that could be sort of like a James Bond type villain, like a wacky villain, or even stuff from the pulps. So it's just so fun. I would check out all of his stuff. Another one that I would really recommend is Starlight too. It's kind of like if Flash Gordon, it was like old man Flash Gordon. I thought about doing videos of all his stuff, like going through all his books, but I don't think they would be that interesting because it would just be me saying that they're all good, basically. It's gotten to the point now where if he's releasing a new book, I'm definitely going to pick it up no matter what it is, even if it doesn't look like it will appeal to me initially, because that happened with Prodigy. I didn't really love this cover of the first book, but when I got into it, I had so much fun. So I would pick up anything because even if it's not going to be great, you know you're going to get something at least really solid with Mark Millar, and you know that the art's going to be good because he really cares about all this stuff. I'm excited about most of his Netflix stuff that's coming out. Other people are writing it, so I don't know how it's going to go, but hopefully it's good. I know Jupiter's Legacy wasn't as good as they thought it was or wanted it to be, so I don't know about that stuff, but I do like that he's making comics of all of these first because it's all really good. And if you just are dying for some fun, check out his stuff, really. Even if you weren't a fan back in the day or something, I don't know. Check it out because he's just really onto something. And I feel like he has so many ideas, and I love that they're all very different from each other. And I think most people, if you're into all this genre stuff, you will find a couple things that you will like. So check out that stuff. But yeah, I was really just wanted to talk about Prodigy because it really took me by surprise. And I hope they do a third series because it's just really fun and we need more of that. So please be sure to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this type of content. And thanks for watching. Hey everyone, it's Ron here with a quick announcement. When I started this channel, I was reading and reviewing the Dune books and other sci-fi related material. And most of you might not know that I'm also a musician. So when I was reading these sci-fi books, I started to get inspired and decided to make my own soundtrack to use for my videos. And now I'm excited to tell you all about the first volume in the Ron Reviews original soundtrack collection. This album includes the first 17 tracks featured on my channel, and it's available now exclusively on Bandcamp. Be sure to check the description of this video for the link to the album. Thanks so much for the support so far. I know I'm just starting out, but I hope you're having as much fun as I am. So check out the original soundtrack Volume 1 on Bandcamp. This music is great if you want something moody and atmospheric to listen to while you're reading some science fiction. I think you're going to love it. Thanks.